Welcome back to another one of my very random but impactful videos on trading. Today, we're going to be talking about the four stages that every profitable trader gets to go through. Listen carefully because you might just find yourself in one of these and perhaps, find yourself the fastest route to getting over to the other side, the profitable side. Now, the very first stage number one, is like the most dangerous of them all. That's the naive but successful stage. Now, honestly, I don't even know why I use the word naive because not everybody come into this market with the hopes of making so much money. Not everybody comes into this market naive, basically. But everybody goes through this stage, the stage where you're very new at trading, but for some reason, everything works. It just works out. Now, I've come to think about it. Most people would want to attribute it to luck, beginner's luck. By the time you come, you make a couple of, profitable trade, and then you begin to feel this dopamine like you've arrived. Nothing is going to stop you. Most people call that the beginner's luck, but I've come to think about it that it's not everybody, like I said, that would come into this market thinking that, they will make the most out of it. But some people, like for me, for instance, some people come with an actual plan. They come with the intention to like build a career. And one of the things that, most people would do is to come on platforms like this, come to YouTube to soak up as much information as about trading before they even take their first trade. And for some reason, whatever it is that they come across would just work. It will work and they'll be like, this stuff is easy. And then that's the trap that gets them into the other side. Now, the reason why I said, not necessarily naive is simply because there are a lot of things at play right here. One is the fact that trading for that newbie, the newbie that doesn't understand that trading is a probability game, they might feel like the fact that it's working for them right now means that they've already hacked it. And what comes with that is that they expect that it will always work. So what happens when it doesn't work anymore is either they believe one, they've done something wrong, or perhaps the strategy they are using is no longer working. None of them would ever reason that this stuff didn't work because the market is unpredictable. Like no beginner trader would ever imagine that you can do everything right and still get it wrong a couple of times. So because of that, they feel they've not studied enough and they feel like that initial luck was actually a beginner's luck. But in my own perspective, I've come to understand that that very first period is the period where you stick to one thing because you don't know so much. So the little you know, you use it to its fullest potential and it would work because that's how trading is. It will work if you don't complicate it, if you make the most difficult things seem so easy and then you stick to it, it works. And that's pretty much what beginner traders they do. They consume maybe one information and then try as much as possible to dumb it down for them to understand because they do already have so much information about trading. And by the time they apply it, it works. So now where the issue comes about is when they hit that block that says, oh, everything you're doing is right, but for some reason you're not profitable. The trade just doesn't play the way you intend. That's when they get into the next phase. So the next stage is the gambling stage, the gambling phase. Now, everybody also experience this, but depending on your personality and how smart you are, you might get out of this phase as quick as possible, or most people don't even get out of this phase. This is the phase where most people end their trading career. So now, the reason why we get into this phase in the first place is one, you started trading last week, you've made a decent amount of money from the trading, and you believe you're now unstoppable. But for some reason, things just didn't play the way you intend them to. and then you get your very first loss. Because, you believe you already have this thing under control, you decide to go in again. You decide to build up, bad habits like over trading. You don't believe that someone like you can actually mess up in the market. So you go in again, you go in even harder, go in with bigger size lots. You start trading with emotions. You can't get over the fact that yesterday or last week you made so much money and now you've given everything back. That would mess with you. And like I said, depending on your personality, depending on how smart and how understanding you are, you might not get out of this phase. You might just get stuck here. Now, you're now the smart person. You've gotten to the point where you realize that, the way I'm doing this stuff, like I need some sort of better education. I can't keep going this way. Maybe it might even get to the point where, you're out of cash and then now you realize that, if this stuff needs to work, I need to calm down and do this thing the right way. That's when you get to the next phase. The next phase, which is the third stage, that's the stage where education becomes so addictive. This is the stage where you start, jumping from one YouTube video to the other because now you've realized that the very first strategy that you used that was working for you doesn't work all the time. So you believe in the back of your head that you need more strategies. So if this one doesn't work, then maybe this would work. If this doesn't work, then this would work. So you jump, you consume everything that comes your way about trading. You spend more than 90 hours on top of YouTube consuming. Maybe you might even be lucky to even get, the funds to buy or pay for one course online, to get a mentor, all of that. But the way the information comes to you is so fast that you don't even get the time to build them up, to make something good out of them. You just keep hopping from one strategy to another, too much information. And to me, this is another spot where most people get crippled the most. The gambling phase is one. At least if you don't have money, if you don't have funds, you might rest for the day. But this particular one is time consuming. You might think you're doing yourself good by, consuming enough information. You're getting better. But the reverse is the case, because the only reason why you made so much on your first attempt in trading is simply because you stick to one. But now you're consuming way too many that you can't even make sense out of it anymore. So this stage here is the stage where most traders find themselves. Like about 90% of the traders find themselves in this stage. The stage where you know way too much about trading that is now obstructing from actually trading profitably. Trust me, it takes the grace of God to actually get you out of here. Because most time you don't even necessarily believe you need help. You don't necessarily believe you're doing it wrong. You feel you have way too much knowledge, you're better than the next person. But the only time you look back and think you need help is when you look at your account balance and you realize that with all of this knowledge, I'm still not a profitable trader. With all of this knowledge, my account is still constantly on red. Now, knowledge doesn't fix bad habits. And that's why I say, in order for you to leave this phase, you need to understand that in trading, knowledge is not power. We've seen that in the very first phase, that what you know doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make or lose money. Is how you apply it. In the very first phase, the only reason why you made money was because you're applying it as best as possible, because it's the only thing you know. Now you can't make money because you've had so much information that nothing makes sense anymore. This leads to the fourth and the last phase, the phase that I would always call the power of negativity. This is the final profitable stage. The phase where you realize that knowledge is not equal power. The phase where you realize that everything you've heard about the industry is probably a lie. The stage where you realize that it's okay to do everything right and still have a bad trade. You don't chase setups anymore. You stop caring about it. Like every single thing you've seen or you've known about the forex industry, this is the stage where you flip it upside down and do exactly what is needed to succeed. And what is needed is as simple as slowing down, making this whole process repetitive and as boring as possible. Every flashy thing, just forget about it. Trading is not flashy. Any exciting trader you see jumping for a while, the only reason why you're excited is because it's still gamble to you. If you're happy that your trade hits take profit and you're jumping, you're excited about it, it's because you knew at the back of your head that there was a bigger possibility that this stuff wouldn't play in your favor. So when it eventually did, you couldn't contain your happiness. You'll be so happy. That's the only reason why you'll be jumping. All those positivities, all those exciting things about trading, you just have to forget about it. You need to forget about it to be profitable. Trading is repetitive. Trading is boring. Trading is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the same result. Know when to go out, know when to get in. When you're in, you need to know what invalidates your setup. You need to know what would happen for you to get out, what will happen for you to stay in the trade. Every single thing needs to be as solid as rock, and you would learn to not deviate from that. That's what it takes to be a profitable trader. The trader that looks away from hype, the trader that doesn't get excited when your trade hits profit because it's expected. If it doesn't hit profit, you're not even emotionally attached to it because one, you're not over trading. So if it doesn't hit profit, you know what you're expected to lose. And by the time you lose just that, you'll be okay because you're already expecting to lose it. And if you hit profit, it's not even supposed to be so significant that it takes you way out of poverty. The only reason why one trade will take you away, I'm using the word poverty like for trying to escape poverty. Yes, some of us are actually trying to escape poverty, but the only reason why one trade will take you away from poverty is if you risk way more than you're supposed to. That's the only reason why you'll be so happy because you know deep down that if this trade doesn't play out as it's supposed to, you're going back to the village. As simple as that. So if it plays out, you're so happy. But you can't consistently repeat that. That is not the habit of a profitable trader. You need to forget about what the internet is telling you. The internet is telling you that trading is this, is, that. Forget about it. Have this mindset of negativity. If you see something on the internet that is too, that is looking too positive, makes you so excited about trading, do the opposite of that. Anything on the internet that makes you feel so happy and excited about trading, just do the opposite of that. And that's the reason why I named this channel The Good Bad Trade. Aside the fact that you only trade was supposed to be taken that is bad has to be good. In other words, it doesn't matter the outcome of the trade. All that matters is that you stick to your process. You got out when you're supposed to, and you stayed and hold on until you get a reason to go out. That's the only way you become profitable. That's the only way you become profitable in this market. That's the only way you stay and remain profitable. Profitable traders don't think positively. We think probabilistically. probability is every single thing. We don't think positively. And for me, go negative because the industry is just trying to brainwash a whole lot of us. So do the opposite and watch how your trading performance skyrockets. The moment you stop following hype and start respecting losses as something that happens every now and then, the moment you stop, expecting every trade to perform as expected, that's the moment you become a real trader. That's the moment everything turns for you. That's the moment most traders out there, especially the newbies that are being pulled into this industry by the flashy things they see, will start looking at you like someone that doesn't know what they are doing. I've had quite a number of new traders come to me for advice, and they laugh when I told them that I trade once or twice a month. They laugh at it because that's not what they are used to. That's not what anyone is preaching on the internet. And so they believe what I'm doing is not even fun because they prefer fun to being profitable. That's what the industry has already programmed most of these traders. They believe the market is fun. And the only reason it might seem fun in the beginning is simply because you're gambling, like we already said. So, yeah, these are the 4 stages that every single trader needs to go through. Depending on where you are, the sad truth is you need to experience all. If you're a beginner trader, there is no way you can jump the second, third step to get to the fourth step. It's not possible. The only way you get to know who you are is through losses. And that beginner trader that is making money right now, wait till you start making the losses. How you gather up yourself after that will determine if you're going to stay in this industry or not. If you're somewhat in the second stage, the gambling stage, awareness would help you. Understand that you can't go far gambling. Nobody can win the market. So if you eventually make money today, be prepared to give it back the next day. If you're in stage 2, you need to step up to stage 3. Having this information should help you make that even faster. If you're going to go by the mentorship route, or if you're still going to consume a lot of information, just stick to one. You've experienced it before in your first stage where you were profitable. Stick to one. You can learn everything. Give yourself like a month or maybe 2 months to learn as much as you can to know what works best for you. As you see something that, aligns with you in terms of all the experience you've had in your gambling phase, your stage 2, if you see something that aligns with you in this stage 3, hold it firmly and move on to stage 4 with it. Stage 4 is the only stage that you can't jump to. You can't jump ahead those other 3 stages to get to stage 4 because it's not even possible for you to get to stage 4 without going through all of these streets. Stage 4 only makes sense because you've had enough information, enough, reasonable and useful information, and you've applied them severally. Application comes with, experience. All of that experience, you've had that in your stage 2. You're not going back to gambling because you know you can't win it. The only reason you know you can't win is because you've tried it. You've tried it with all your heart while you're in stage 2 to gamble and try to see how you beat the market, but you can't. So you have that at the back of your head as that experience. All those over trading, revenge trading, trying to trade with bigger lot size, all of that was necessary. You've had it, you've experienced it. It helps you to decide what information to consume and what information to stay away from. So all of those steps are necessary for you to get to the level 4. Now you are at level 4. Welcome. Level 4 is not something you just arrive at. It's something you need to work on every single day. Some days you might wake up and see yourself repeating those bad habits, but you won't beat yourself up because you understand now that is your fault and you know exactly how to fix it. Now, that's the difference between a profitable trader and someone that's still trading with emotions, someone that is still new and naive. A profitable trader might decide to gamble one day, it might fall back to one of those old habits. But immediately things cast, immediately they realize that I'm doing those stuffs that I'm not supposed to do. They won't let it cascade. They won't let it get out of control. They catch themselves faster and then align themselves. Even though they are currently in a drawdown, they realize that revenge trading, over trading just to get back what I've lost might make me lose even more. So every now and then they reset and then get back into profitability. The more you do this, the more you get to a point where you would have no reason to go back again. And that's the point that I'm trying to preach, the point of doing the exact opposite of what the industry is asking of you. The reason why you go back to gambling is because you're still consuming those information that are making you feel like you're supposed to make more than you're expected to make. You're supposed to make more return from the little investment you put in. Try as much as possible to take that off your head. Try as much as possible to be consistent with what you make. Your winnings need to be predictable, just as your losses are. Welcome once again to the Profitable Side. Now that you're here, you have no reason to go back. But even if you do, let your knowledge guide you back. Have a profitable day. See you guys in the next video.